Dimitri and Dewani's trial resumed today in the Western Cape High Court, and News 24 reporter Roy McKenzie was in the courtroom. He's here to talk us through today's proceedings. Roy, thank you again for joining us.
Sure.
Now, just following it on Twitter, some of the details that were being given in court this morning were quite salacious.
Yeah, I mean, today was meant to be the probably most sensational part of the trial, but unfortunately the testimony was cut short. So it started with the German male escort, Leopold Leiser, taking the stand, and I think he was one of the most anticipated witnesses because obviously the sensational angle, but also Dewani had supposedly told him that he needed to find a way out of his marriage. So that could have been quite compelling testimony. Unfortunately, however, the judge has been quite strict on the issue of Dewani's sexuality and the relevance to the court. So she basically ordered him to stand down because she could not see the relevance of his testimony. So that was the morning gone, unfortunately.
Now, in a way, we're seeing how progressive South Africa is, especially our justice system, when it comes to things like this, because the South African judge has said actually his sexuality has nothing to do with this, and the international media find this quite strange.
Absolutely, yeah. There's been a lot of talk amongst the foreign journalists in court and not understanding where this is coming from. So yeah, firstly, as you say, I mean, constitutionally you're not allowed to discriminate on sexuality, so the judge has been very careful on that. I think she's also trying very hard to avoid this trial being a sort of, a soap opera, and trying to get away from the sexuality angle. And I think also she's probably trying to make sure it's as free and fair as possible for Dewani, because obviously they're very careful to have everything in order so that he's not going to have a relapse or, have a mistrial declared. So yeah, I mean, basically what the defense did, and it was a masterstroke on their part, is on the first day of the trial, in his plea explanation, he detailed all of the state's case against him. He admitted he was bisexual, he'd had sex with men, he'd had sex with Leiser, who was on the stand today. So what the judge did this morning is she said, well, none of this is relevant. None of this is actually new testimony. None of it is actually going to be credible evidence that is going to add to the case. And she said, unless you can show motive for the murder or an association with the co-conspirators, there is no relevance to just the fact that he was gay and he had interactions with a male escort. He's already answered all that.
But if we move on to the second part of the day, we were also quite keen to hear what Zola Tonga had to say. He was, of course, the taxi driver.
Absolutely. So he is another very crucial witness in this case. In the afternoon, he was really just being examined by the state. So nothing that came out is anything new. It really just detailed how he was working as a taxi driver. He picked up the Dewanis at the airport. He took them to the Cape Grace. He charged them 250 Rand. He got a 50 Rand tip. And at the Cape Grace, Dewani said to him, I have a job for you. And he thought, oh, well, he's trying to promote his business and get more work and everything. And Dewani said that he needed his business partner to be removed from sight. And he sort of was a little bit taken aback and said, well, he doesn't do that, but he knows people who know people. So he then went and arranged with another hotel employee at a different hotel, who then arranged with the others, the hitmen who did it. So that's really, I mean, it was just detailing that procedure this afternoon. Nothing that we haven't heard before, because all of this came out in Tonga's trial anyway.
Right. Now, if we take a step back from this, it's not really looking very good for the state, is it?
No, not at all. And what's really going to be interesting when Tonga comes under cross-examination, because what the defense has done with previous, especially with Kwabe, is they really tore his testimony to shreds. And if they painted him as an uncredible witness, and if they paint Tonga as an uncredible witness, well then, I don't know what the state's got left, in its arsenal.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
You can follow News 24's Roy McKenzie on Twitter and stay tuned to News 24 Live for all the latest Dewani video coverage.